Hello children. Today we are going to start with a new chapter which is soils of India. Now what is soil? Soil is basically a thin layer which is composed of small rock particles, okay, and different other materials which covers the surface of the earth. Now soil is very important for the growth of crops, for the growth of plants. Now temperature, running water and wind are few factors that affect the formation of the soil. Okay, now humus, clay, silica and sand are the basic constituents of the soil. Now it is derived from the parent rock through a process which is called as the breakup method or a wear and tear method. Now what is soil fertility? Soil fertility basically means to strengthen the soil so as to support plant life. Now for a soil to be fertile, it is very important that the soil has adequate amount of moisture as well as the essential amount of nutrients. The soil should also be rich in nutrients like nitrogen, potassium and phosphorus. The depth should be there so that the roots can grow well. Organic matter is very important, which not only improves the soil structure but also adds fertility to the soil. By adding manure and fertilizers, the fertility can be further enhanced. Now how can we classify soil? Soil can be classified basically under two categories. One is your residual soil and the other is transported soil. Now residual soil is also referred to as in situ soil. Now what does that mean? The soil that is found and it is formed on its own place of origin is called as your residual soil. Like for example, black soil, red soil, laterite soil are all residual soils. Transported soil is also called as an ex situ soil. So transported soil basically is the soil which is transported by various agents. So it is formed in one place but it is carried by different agents like wind, river, is your transported soil. Alluvial soil is a very good example of your ex situ soil. Now we'll begin with the first type of soil, which is the alluvial soil. Now alluvial soil occupies 40% of the Indian landmass, and as I already told you in the previous slide, alluvial soil is a ex situ soil. Now alluvial soil is largely found in the northern plains. The Indo-Gangetic plains, as we say, is composed of your alluvial soil. Now it is formed by the sediments which are brought down by the rivers. Okay, it is also called as a riverine soil. The other name for alluvial soil is riverine soil, basically because it is found near the river basins. Okay, it is deposited by three big river systems, which is your Brahmaputra, Indus and Ganga. All right, you also have some amount of alluvial soil below Tropic of Cancer, which is your deltaic alluvial soil, that is the deltas of Krishna, Kaveri and Godavari. Now alluvial soil can also be categorized under two categories. Now this is your inland alluvial soil, that is we are talking about the soil found in the Indo-Gangetic plain. It has two categories. You have Khadar and you have Bhangar. Now Khadar is the new alluvial soil which is recently been formed, and it is formed of fine silt and clay, and it is very fertile. All right, Bhangar is the old alluvial soil. Okay, it has got a lot of lime nodules and is not very fertile. All right, now why is Khadar very fertile? Because every year it is replenished by floods, so that is why it is more fertile as compared to your Bhangar soil. Now let us see the characteristics of alluvial soil. Alluvial soil is basically found in the upper and the lower course of a river. Okay. Now in the upper course, the soil has got large particles and is non-uniform, whereas as it comes down, it becomes small and uniform. The basic reason here is because the rate of erosion at the lower valley is higher. So if the rate of erosion is higher, more finer becomes the particles of the soil. Okay, now it is found in the depth of 500 meters. It is light, porous and tillable. Very important, it is fertile as it is rich in lime and potash. It is suitable for the growth of rabi and kharif crops. Okay, now it lacks nitrogen and humus. Okay, however, the alluvial soil of Ganga, that is your Indo-Gangetic plain, has got high amount of humus. All right, now in the upper Ganga valley, as I told you, because the rate of erosion is the soil has undergone is less. It is the alluvial soil in the upper Ganga valley is porous, dry, and has organic matter, while as in the lower Ganga valley, because it has undergone a higher rate of erosion, the soil is much more finer, compact, and is moist. Now let us see the distribution. Okay, we have three types of alluvial: inland, deltaic, and coastal. Inland alluvial is basically means the alluvial which is found inside the land, like your Indo-Gangetic plain is a very good example of your inland alluvial. Deltaic alluvial, the alluvial soil that is found along the delta. So like we have the Ganga Brahmaputra delta, the Krishna, the Kaveri, and the Godavari delta. Coastal alluvial, along the coastal strip. So along the coast of peninsular India, this kind of alluvial soil is found. The second type of soil that we have is the black soil. Now black soil is also called as a regur soil, or it is called as a black cotton soil. Now why is it called as a black cotton soil? Basically for the reason that cotton grows very well in this kind of a soil. Okay, like we had discussed before, the in situ and ex situ soil. Now black soil is a very good example of an in situ soil. That is, it is formed and it is found in its own place of origin, so it doesn't move away from its own place of origin. Now how is black soil formed? Black soil is basically formed by denudation of volcanic rocks. Okay, it has got very high moisture retentive capacity, it is fertile, and it is fine texture. When I say a high moisture retentive capacity, I mean that when it becomes dry, it develops cracks, and when it is wet, it becomes very soft. It is just very similar like a clay. So when you put water in the clay, it becomes very very marshy, but as soon as you leave it in the air to dry, it develops cracks. So same is the case with respect to black soil. Now it has got high moisture retentive capacity. The crops that can grow very well in this soil is your cotton, sugarcane, wheat, and jowar. The next type of soil is your red soil. Now how is red soil basically formed? Due to prolonged weathering of ancient crystalline and metamorphic rocks, these soils are formed. Now the word red itself would suggest to you that they are red in color. Yes, they are red in color because of high concentration of iron oxide. All right. Now the kind of redness would differ from place to place depending upon what is the parent rock material, and yes, what are the climatic conditions. Okay, now this is the second largest type of soil which is found in India. Now this is not very fertile, but yes, if we add fertilizers or manure to this particular soil, then crops can be grown in this soil. This soil is very ideal for dry farming. Okay, because it is formed in poor rainfall areas. Now what do we mean by dry farming? Is basically where those areas where rainfall is very scanty, farming is practiced. So those areas are your dry farming areas. So this particular soil is very ideal for dry farming. Okay, the crops that can grow here basically are your vegetables, rice, groundnut, potato, ragi, and tobacco. The last type of soil is your laterite soil. Okay, now laterite soil again falls in the category of a residual soil, that is, it's an in situ soil. Now laterite soil is formed by the process of leaching. Okay, now what is leaching? In the areas where high rainfall takes place, the nutrients which are present in the top layer of the soil, they get percolated down in the lower layers. Okay, which leaves the top layer completely infertile. This process is called as leaching, or we also call this process as desilication. right? Now the soil is very very coarse, that is, it is very very rough and easily breakable. It is infertile, okay? It does not retain any moisture. This soil is very good for building purposes, okay? It is poor in lime and magnesium. Now two types of laterite soil are found here. You have your upland laterite and lowland laterite. All right, now cashews and all can grow very well in your laterite soil.